Okay, since I have my snap ring grooves and my Woodruff key cut into here, I do need to deburr that right there. And I showed you I had the high power key or high pro key in there, and the clutch slid over nicely. I then remembered I had to drill the holes, the bolt holes for the tires to bolt onto. So I went ahead and while I still had it set up in my mill, I drilled those holes. I didn't have my camera with me at the time, so I'm sorry I didn't get that, but that's pretty easy. Just took my edge finder, found the edge of it right here, and then came over half the distance of the edge finder, which was 250 thou, and then came over half the diameter of the shaft, which was 1 inch. So came over a total of 750 thou to the center, and came in 3.325 inches, something like that, and then drilled my holes on each side, and took a file real lightly and deburred both the holes. But I now see I got a little deburring to do on the Woodruff key area. That's no biggie. So the shaft is pretty well ready to go in, but I'm going to need something to tap the bushings in, because when you slide this in from the right hand side, the key has to be in it. Excuse me, and the key won't go in with the bushing in there, so the shaft has to go in without the bushing, get everything lined up, and then drive the bushing on. So I measured the inside diameter of the channel where the wheel seal goes, and it's 1.5 inches, and my shaft is 1 inch, so I'm coming up with a bushing pusher or knocker or whatever you want to call it. And this is what I've got right here. It measures just under 1.5 inches on the outside, leaves me a little bit of clearance. Now I've got it drilled out to 1/2 inch right there on the inside. I'm going to bore it out to 1 inch and maybe just a smidge over, and that'll allow me to drive my bushing in and come flush with a shoulder that's on the inside where they say the bushing should stop. So this should work just fine for that. I'm going to try to bore it out while I got it here in the lathe. This is a turning tool, actually an internal threading tool that I made. I don't know how well it'll work. It's the closest thing I got for my lathe to actually do this, so I'll try it. We'll see how that turns out. And if all else fails, I can put it in the I can put it back in the mill and use my boring head to go down and bore it out. But I've never done any boring on a lathe, so I want to try that. So we'll finish getting set up and try to accommodate that, and try to get that on video for you. Okay, I've had to do a little dressing up on my tool bit here. It's a little thick, both top and bottom. It was tapered from here on down to there, and due to the fact my hole is so small, it would rub, and it would rub on the back side over there also. So I've had to go back and forth onto the grinder and grind a little bit more down, a little bit more down, and finally I don't really want to take any more off. So what I'm doing now is I'm slowly making this hole, the diameter, inside diameter, a little bit larger, and go down till I start rubbing right here. Then I'll back out and I go a little bit larger, and I'm able to go a little bit deeper each time. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just manually feeding it in until I get it to the point where the cutter will come all the way out through the back side. And at that point, then I'll be able to dial in 5 thou and put on my feed and let it feed itself in. So right now I'm just playing with it by hand, trying to get the hole large enough to accommodate my tool bit. If I had an inside boring bar, it'd probably be a lot better, but I don't have one yet. So that'll be on my wish list of things to do. So bear with me. I'll try to get you a picture of how this is going, and maybe you can see what's going on. Okay, I got the setup on the tripod right here beside me, so it's a little bit in my way, and my head's probably going to be in your way a little bit, so we'll just have to cooperate a little bit here and see if we can get this hole large enough for the tool bit to go all the way through. feeding it in by hand right now. Probably be a lot more accurate, maybe even a little faster if I did it on the mill with my boring head, but sometimes I like trying things a little bit different, just so I can see what I'm capable of doing, what I'm not. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Eventually, I'm going to come up on the shoulder I've got in there. I think I just hit the shoulder. Now I'm going to, right there, the tool bit's starting to hit. We're out. Bring out another 5 thous. Too much about the finish right now in there. Naturally, I got quite a bit more to go. Maybe one of these days I'll get one of them quick change tool posts. Has the boring bar attachment for it. Alright, we'll bring around another 5 thousandths. There's one thing to be said about this. Sometimes you run into the point where you just don't have the tooling you need and you've got to come up with a way to do it. And now is good practice for me, is the way I look at it. And this is not something that's got to be critical, it's just a bushing driver. So what better time to play with it? One thing I do have on my wish list, hopefully to get soon, is a belt disc sander combo. Probably the jet model, 1-inch wide belt, 8-inch wide disc. That would be a lot nicer for grinding these tool bits than it will be on my bench grinder over there with a round wheel. I think I'd just be able to do a lot better job with something like that. Come out another 5 thou. Total length of this bore is going to be about 1 3/8 inch. I figure that'll give me plenty of stability on that shaft so I get a nice square line up on the bushing, as well as keeping it straight so it goes straight into its bore. This is 308 stainless. Piece of 1.5 inch shaft I had laying around. I just took about 3 or 4 thousandths off the outside just to make sure I had a good smooth finish. And got it in my 4-jaw chuck. And dialed it, made sure it was true within a 1/2 thou. set her down for a little inspection here. I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, what I found in that inspection was that I was actually coming up and hitting the shoulder I had created back up in here, and it's a pretty deep shoulder. So what I had to do was end up moving the cutter in and making little small passes across it, because it was probably 50 thou, and this cutter just was not liking that a whole lot. Plus, when I got to the very end, I found I still had to grind off just a little bit more in order to get my tip right here to come all the way through. So now I've got that ground off, and I got the shoulder worked out, and I just made a pass with the feed set on 2.5 thousandths per revolution. I don't know how well that shows up, but it's a pretty good finish in there. I did pull the cutter out while it was still turning, so you see that one little gouge in there. So that's not bad, not for right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get set up, and we'll get you back over here looking at it, and we'll make a few passes in auto feed, and we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna bring her out 5 thou, and 2.5 thou feed was a little slow. I'm going to step her up to 3.5. See how that does. Nice pretty little curl coming off of there. I did put a line on the cutter itself, so when the tip came out and I had a little clearance, I stopped it and put a mark right there on the cutter so I know where to stop it. I can probably go a little faster than 3.5 thou. My next step up would be 5 thou. 5 thousandths inch per revolution. Approaching the mark. That still left a pretty good finish. Let me step her up just a little bit more. Go up to 2A, which is 5 thou. Come out another 5 thousandths. Up there close, engage it. Now that cutter is thinned out pretty good out there, so I'm taking light cuts, and I don't think I'm going to feed it any faster than that. When I get close to diameter, I'll actually slow it down and give me a little bit better finish in there. Mark. You can actually hear it when it stops cutting. Back around another 5. Engage it. I'll bring you back when I'm done with her. We're down to the final pass.